Hey guys, I'm Drago and I am tired, I am rushed, I am stressed, and I still have R-block. I'm having to make this video really quickly because I have a lot of things to do, a lot of studying to do for my driving theory test. And as you all know, when I need to make a quick video that's easy to do, then I make the Pokemon Infinite Fusion Spriting videos. They're quick, they're easy, and they're a lot of fun to make. I'm hoping things sort of clear up next week, we'll see. I'm trying to sort of draw off camera just to sort of get my art block sorted out because I'm in such a rut with that at the moment. But yeah, other than that, we've got more Fusion Spriting here and I hope you'll enjoy. Well, with you lucky, here we're back on the Fusion Dex website. You know the drill, we're going to press random, see what we get, and I am still waiting to potentially get a Sceptile Sprite in this series because I love Sceptile. Here we go. Oh, it's one that's already got a Sprite. Oh, he's so cute, look at the little bird. Let's go again. Oh, that was not cute, oh god. And again. And again. And again, and again, and again. Oh my god, guys. There we go, there's what we've not got. Shelthorn, that is Shelgon and Ferrothorn, I believe. This might be kind of a difficult one to do, but I think I've got an idea for it, so let's give it a go. So this first guy actually wasn't that difficult to sort of figure out. You know, you've got sort of two roundish Pokemon that are going to be smashed together. One of those fusions where you get lucky where the shapes kind of match up. And so what I decided to do was basically make Shelgon be the main body, you know, have the part where his eyes are sticking out and stuff, and make those sort of parts of his shell the Ferrothorn body, yet still keep the sort of thorns of Ferrothorn, so you've still got the idea of it being Ferrothorn there. My other idea was for the parts that come out of Ferrothorn, I don't know what they are, but those spiky parts, have those basically be mini little Shelgons. They're just little mini Shelgons that are completely closed up, and I think it really helps fit the theme for both of them. It was quite hard to get those little Shelgons to look right. You know, when something is small and pixelite, you've not got much room to work with. You've only got a few pixels, and that's it. So really, when you're doing something that's that small, you're going to be relying a lot on the colouring and texturing to sort of get the details across. But my god, did I try so many times to get these to look right, and eventually I got there, but it was difficult to get these little mini Shelgons to look right. Once I had the lines done, the colouring was quite an important part of this one. With it being a very simple shape, it was going to rely a lot on the colouring and shading and texturing to add some detail into it. Luckily, the in-game sprite for Shelgon actually has some dithering on it, which means I could use dithering for this to add that texturing that was needed. For the vine parts, I initially thought about using that sort of red colour that Shelgon has on its legs, but I thought it would be a bit too much colour all of a sudden. That little red bit on its legs are so minute, you know, it's so subtle, and to just suddenly add that in as this big splash of colour wouldn't work very well with the colour palette, I don't think. So I ended up going with the darker grey of the face of Shelgon for the vines, so it kept this sort of more monotone grayscale palette. And the only special colour was the eyes sticking out, which I think worked quite well. It drew the attention to the eyes. Initially, using the custom base sprite, I went with this more yellow tone for the highlighter shading, but I didn't really like how it was looking. I did it first, but then I sort of zoomed out and I was like, don't really like it. So I changed it to be a bit more of a blue tone with the shading to match the rest of the shell. I get what the person who made it was going for, and in their sprite, the yellow sort of tone works really well, but in this sort of Ferrothorn fusion sprite, I just don't think it worked very well. So I removed it and made it a more sort of purpley bluey tone. The rest of the shading was pretty simple. I made sure to build up the shadow with an extra tone just to sort of add a bit more depth to it, because unlike Ferrothorn, this one doesn't really have any patterns to it. You know, Ferrothorn has those stripes on it and stuff and the dots. This sort of Shelgon one doesn't, so making sure that I add a bit more sort of depth to the shading than Ferrothorn or Shelgon usually has helped to add that detail and help to make it look a bit more interesting, a bit more 3D and stuff. Alright, with that guy out of the way, let's go for the next one. Let's see if we get another like 10 sprites that have already been done. We haven't. Lapvire. So yeah, Lapras and Electivire. Okay. I think this could be relatively cool if you sort of utilise the electricity of Electivire here. I think I could do this. I think I could do this. This one was probably the most complicated one of this video, which is quite funny because I had a, I've actually forgotten what the Pokemon is called. The pre-evo of this guy. The pre-evo of Electivire I had in the last video. And it was that Pokemon and Aegislash together. And that was actually the second Pokemon of that video. And it was the most complicated Pokemon of that video. So it's quite funny that sort of happened again now with its evolution in this video. Yeah, I had this Lapras custom base. The person who made it will be on screen now. And I used the head from that, scaled it up a bit, and decided to sort of make it so there's the head and it's got the neck coming down and it's sort of poking out the tuft of fluff around the neck. So rather than Lapras' head itself be fluffy, which I think would be quite cursed, honestly, I made it so it's fluffy around its neck. The rest of it was basically just following Electivire itself, which is also custom base. So again, they will be on screen now, the creator of it. I don't remember who they are right now. I can't remember their names. That's why I'm not saying it in the voiceover. But editing me will add it in. But yeah, from there it's pretty much just doing Electivire's body shape. The other two things I added was Lapras' shell on the back, just some more subtle detail. And I almost went to make some electricity, like blue electricity to match the water type in. But I thought instead, why don't I just add like some bubbles? Like on the end of those pond things that probably make the electricity, instead of electricity, make it a bubble, because water type, you know? It's what a lot of people do for their water fusions. Figuring out the colour scheme was interesting. I was almost tempted to make the sort of stripy patterns be the darker blue of Lapras. But the thing is, in Lapras' colour palette, that dark blue is the same as the outline colour, and it would sort of be difficult to differentiate that without it just looking like an extension of the line art. And Lapras has this quite distinct lighter coloured belly, and I think it was quite important to get that colour in there. So as much as my personal preference would have been to have it be the darker colour, in terms of practicality and the sprite and how the two Pokemon would fuse together, it makes more sense for these stripe areas to be the lighter colour of Lapras. But I did add the little dots that Lapras has on its body between the stripes just to add a bit more to it. And I also added the stripes sort of to the eye and on the top of the head for Lapras. I put a lot of thought into the fur texture, and that thought was to be as random as possible. Basically just be rough and loose with it, and just allow the pixels to sort of naturally place themselves in a more haphazard way, and it sort of creates this idea of fluff and strands of hair. Especially with like Electivire, where you can tell his hair is like coarser and shorter. Like you could tell if you touched it, it would be more like, I don't know, a horse's hair rather than a soft cat or something. So I definitely wanted to get that coarse texture in there. Now with the bubbles, I needed to make it so they look transparent without being transparent. So basically in these sprites you can't have what are known as half pixels, and they are basically pixels with transparency with an opacity to them. Which is why off to the side I placed down the colours that are going to be underneath the bubble, and I put a layer of blue over them and then turned that opacity down so that I could then colour pick the colours that it would be and basically paint those in manually. And one more for this video. Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god. Okay, well, I guess we're giving it a go. Oh my god. Sometimes we get really cursed fusions in these videos, and I think this is definitely one of those. You've got this small little dude who is known for eating and evolving into something that is quite big and fat, honestly, who is going to be put onto the buff kin of Pokemon. Honestly, this is one of those fusions that is just going to be funny no matter what you do with it, and I'm okay with that. This guy's hilarious. So basically I just got Munchlax's head, stuck it on there, made sure it's still got the frills of Machamp. I don't know what they are that's on top of its head, but the frill things that are on the top of its head. In terms of how I changed Machamp's body, rather than adding in the belt, I made it so it's got this sort of fluffy skirt of natural fur. If you look at the bottom of Munchlax, it sort of just fluffs out. So I added that instead of the belt, but I made sure he still had his underwear on because otherwise it'd be really weird. And the other change I made was, rather than just making the sort of circle lighter bit on Munchlax's chest just a circle, I decided to make it like fluffed out like chest hair because, I don't know, I just felt like it fit the theme. The other really funny part was that I made the legs completely the sort of lighter yellow colour, because if you look closely under Munchlax, his little feet are actually that colour. So I thought it'd be hilarious to have it like his feet just suddenly grew, his legs just grew to these big buff things. So they're still that colour and it just makes him look a bit sort of naked almost. It's quite, it's hilarious. I don't know, this fusion is so funny. Someone on the Infinite Fusion server suggested that I put like food items and stuff on there. So I didn't record this bit because it was afterwards, but I did end up also giving him a sort of crushed energy drink can in one hand and a sort of crushed one of those like protein power bars in the other hand. Because that fits both the sort of bodybuilder aesthetic of Machamp and the food and eating aesthetic of Munchlax. Other than that, everything was just done as normal. So sit back and enjoy the birth of this absolutely cursed being. Woo, that's 3 more fusions, yippee! Let me know down below which one is your favourite. Personally, I think mine is the Munchlax and Machamp because it's just so goddamn funny. Short and sweet outro because I'm low on time. If you guys enjoyed, maybe like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Turn on that bell to know when I upload, and I will see you all in the next video, which will hopefully be a proper video that isn't short and rushed. I'm sorry. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!